I'm ready. Let's go.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the stream. And I'm just chilling, I'm relaxing. It's almost time to go back to work next week, and I thought, why not just do another stream? So today, I'm going to just show you a little bit of what I've learned about this new Airbus, and feel free to comment and ask questions, and let's see how we can enjoy this together. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully there's time for some more flying later on today, but let's see how things pan out. So far the weather is good. I'm at George Airport. It's on the coast in the Cape Town province, and we're just going to fly down the coast all the way to Cape Town International, crossing some of the nice mountains. And I've got my ortho working now, so we should see, depending on the cloud cover, some nice scenery. Right, so now in the last couple of weeks, I've been toying with this aircraft and been getting better at the landings and all these things that have been bugging me. Uh, it's a brilliant little aircraft. I've mentioned it a couple of times, and I think I'm just going to start just out of the first. I mean, this isn't rehearsed. It's not something that I really went and planned over a period of time. So I'm just going to start from the beginning and just show you guys a couple of things that you might have seen or might not have seen. And this is what I've learned. From our menu, we can obviously select certain things just by clicking on the park there. We can get rid of chocks and we can get rid of our engine covers, uh, which is cool. We don't need them right now, I suppose. Uh, we'll leave them on just a little bit longer. We obviously have the tow truck. I don't use that because I use better pushback. What we can do from here is obviously open doors. The checklist is one of those things which I'm not sure about. I haven't really used it. It's just wasn't me before. And then yesterday I started tinkering with it and I started creating a checklist like I did for the Zebo mod. And so I'm going to use this now in combination with my checklist. And it actually started making sense to me at some point in time doing it that way. And part of what I'm doing in this flight, obviously, is just seeing how well I set up the checklist and how feasible it is. And if it's done, like I mentioned in the comments, I'll just drop it in my OneDrive, and you guys can go try it out yourself. I'm really still tinkering with it, so it might not happen within the next day or two, but it's a plan that I have. Hey Felix, good morning. You're welcome, mate. This is going to take me a short while to get going because I'm running through everything that I've learned basically. So take your time, and the video will obviously be up later and you can fill in the blanks. But please come back, yeah, that'll be cool. And you're welcome to join me on Discord anyway, by the way. Right, so from our ground menu, we can call the catering trucks. Now, as a matter of interest, this is built into the model. When you purchase the JarDesign A320, you get the ground services with it. You don't have to buy the ground services deluxe. I obviously own it and I use it. But for the video here, I'm going to just stick to default. once I've actually learned how to manipulate the trucks and to change them and get different stairways in Ground Handling Deluxe, I'm going to chop and change that little add-on for me on this aircraft and on the Zebo as well. In a rainy situation, you don't want open staircases like this. So I've seen that there are ones with closed canopies, and I'm going to investigate that. Hopefully one day soon I'll figure out how that works and we can just, play an interchange with them. But as this is default, we're happy. We're not going to worry about, something that you get with an aircraft like this. This is perfect. Right, very important. We want the ground power unit to come up. Without the ground power unit, we're not going to get far. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the fuel and the load, because that was part of my learning curve that I had to go through. I'll show you something as we move on. So depending on where you are, day or night, etc., and how you use the sim, there are some nice to haves that you might want to use or not use. The very first one is found in the cabin. If we go into the cabin and we look at the situation, let's say this was now dark, it's in the evening sometime, the moonlight isn't sufficient, or you parked away from a ramp area that's lit. Obviously this is going to be very dark. Now you've got a couple of options in X-Plane. You can obviously use the flashlight like I'm doing there, and then you can start pointing places and get going in the cockpit as well. But in this JarDesign, they've been clever. They've actually installed a little switch here up top for us. So if we hit that button, we actually get our cabin lights to work for us. They've also given us this panel that will give certain things that will work for us, like we can change the light switch them on and off there. I haven't quite worked out the exact sequence that you get when you start pressing the buttons. It's not been important for me. I just know you can. That is your emergency light switch. So you can change modes with that, and one of them, I think we need to just activate the emergency lights in the cockpit. Will actually make this little purple runner at the ground that shows you how to get to your seat. That changes into two separate ones. It turns red and then it moves from the inside out both ways. So it basically takes you, the emergency lights will guide you to your exit, your emergency exits, which is cool. That's just something that you guys can go and play with. It's all here. Then, as you can see, we actually have temperatures that are being displayed here. Now, depending on what you set on the overhead in the cockpit, you can influence the temperature over here. And this is where you can see the actual temperatures. Our next step is obviously getting into the cockpit. Now, as you can see, everything is cold and dark. When I look at the checklist, there's obviously a couple of things we're going to run through. But the first thing that I want to do is I just want to switch on our refueling power. So in the JarDesign, we've got two ways of refueling. We can simply click on the fuel truck, call it. It will bring up a little widget and we can then start refilling from there. But it works in increments of 0.5. So you're going to have either 3 or 3.5 or 4 or 4.5 tons of fuel. If you want to refine it a little bit, you have to come in here. Then it works in smaller increments and you can actually do it from here. When you use this overhead panel and you call this truck, now you're not going to see the extra widget come up here at the bottom. So this kind of just makes me feel better. So I've started using this more and more now. Alright, I just need to quickly pull up my requirements, and then we can just do that while we are here. Alright, so we need 4.9 tons of fuel to reach Cape Town and to have enough for the reserve and the alternate. So that's busy refueling, and as you can see, it's taking its time, it's not rushing. If you use the widget, it will rush, it's very fast. So if you're in a hurry, use the widget. If you want to do it slightly more realistic, then you obviously use this panel. Alright, so to load the aircraft, we have to click on the load button. According to our operational flight plan today, we're going to carry maximum passengers. We're going to have 17.3 tons of payload. So now we've got to increase something. Yeah, there we go. So you can increase or remove passengers just by clicking on the plus and minus. That's obviously first class, that's just the guys at the back. And the aircraft makes provision for 150 passengers. In the cargo area, what is very important is obviously the CG. And you need to be within the normal parameters, and the way I gauge it, just rule of thumb, is I just look at what my flaps are. I like to take off with 0.0 up. It's nice, but I mean, nobody's going to die if it goes a little bit either way, you know. We can just play with it like that. So that's where you do our loading. This screen will be important later on, unless you've got a very super good memory and you can remember some of these things, but we'll stow it for now. Alright, so the first thing that we need to do when we get into the cockpit is we obviously need to make sure that engine 1 and 2 are both off. And this mode selector switch needs to be on normal. That's just standard. What we also need to do is we need to make sure that this weather radar is off. For some reason it defaults to on, so it's very important to just check that it's off. We don't want to give the people some other disease that's working in front of this aircraft, so we'll keep it off. Then we set the weather to weather and turbulence. Tilt is at 0, and you can set again to wherever you want it. I'm just leaving it at max. Right, now the next very important thing obviously is we need to make sure that the gear lever is down. Alright, once the gear lever is checked to be down, we can move to the overhead. On the overhead, what we will do is we're going to check the batteries. Our batteries, this differs vastly from flight factor, by the way, so don't get confused. The batteries obviously gives a fixed value in this JarDesign, and all we can do then is obviously make sure they're off. That's the first thing that we're going to do. Then the volts obviously indicate that they do have power, and then we can switch on battery 1 and battery 2. Right here, the ding at the back tells us that we have power going, and because we've got the external power, we can obviously enable our ground power unit. Right, what we then check is the voltages. We had 28 volts, which we are happy with. I then go ahead and just switch on all the fuel pumps and make sure that there are no other lights on in this case. Then, if you don't want to get in the bad books with the first officer, all you need to do is make sure that your air conditioning knobs are all set to the middle there on that green little triangle there. From this position, we can obviously then start setting up the lights. We don't have to worry about the standby compass unless we want to use it at night, and then we can set our dome light to bright, and we can just go to annunciator lights to bright as well, because it's in the day. At night it's fine to leave at dim. We can arm our emergency lights, and we can make sure that our no smoking signs are on auto or on already. Our next step is to just bring life to the cockpit, and in this model there are quite a few little knobs that we have to go and turn. Alright, at this point in time I'm just going to switch on my block time as well, and we'll do the actual flight timer later on. If we remember, we're gonna try remember, but that usually goes out of my mind at some point in time, which is another reason why I'm busy building a checklist. So going back to the overhead, we can then switch on the nav lights, put our strobes into the auto position, and then go to our next steps. One thing I also learned, and which I really appreciate, is we can actually switch off the reflections just to make the display look a little bit better. I'm not concerned about all the reflections there. They can sometimes look nice, and sometimes they just a bother. So depending on where I am and what's happening, I'll just switch them on or off. On our pedestal, we need to make sure that the speed brake
Spoilers armed. Spoilers disarmed.
is not armed, and that it's in the right position. And we also need to check that the flaps are up. Then moving to our ADRS, we can start by switching on the nav knobs. Then we move to our STS position using that knob, and then we actually switch it on. And the final step is to enter on that little keypad over there, and it tells us the time to align is 7 minutes. The next step is going to be the fire test on the APU, and that seems to be fine. And then we can do the engine 1 and 2. We can switch our radio on. For somebody sitting in the jump seat, that's going to be quite useful, so we just get it on the appropriate VHF1 and make sure that our frequencies are set correctly. As far as I know, this is slave to the one on the pedestal, so if you change anything, either way it will change on both sides. Right, my next step is then to find the local QNH 1018 for George. I see there is a warning of wind shear in the area. That's very interesting. Winds 120 at 10, variable 080 to 140. Okay. So moving down to the pedestal, we need to check that all these knobs are in the normal position. This switching knobs. We need to make sure that our throttle is indeed in the idle position. And on our transponder, we need to make sure that we are on standby. The altitude reporting we can switch to on, and I already changed it to TIR at this point in time because it's on standby. It's irrelevant. Once it goes to auto or on, it becomes an issue, and then we can simply set our new values if we need to change our squawk code. Alright, we need to make sure that the cockpit door is unlocked. In this aircraft, it matters because you can't close or open the door unless this switch has been flicked. We can also switch on the video. I'll show that to you now. I'll just double click on the video button. And then we need to make sure that our gravity gear is locked into position and not released at all. So in terms of the video there, you can see if somebody wants to come into the aircraft, we can see the galleon is actually trying to gain entrance, and depending on the amount of times that you click that little button, that will change the view. I can just show you one or two. Like that, and then next one will be front to back, and then we're back to where we want to be at the galley. Right, so unless the door lock is actually open, you will not get the hand there and you will not be able to operate the door. So what we're going to do is just close it and then lock the lock for us, like that. And then you will see you can't open anything. It's just stuck now the way it should be, the way you've chosen, so fine. I'm going to start the master switch on the APU, and then we're going to watch for the flap to open on the screen. Once the flap is open, we can click the start button. You see now it says flap open. And we can click the start button. Once it has started, we can switch on the APU bleed, so we just have to wait a little while. Alright, so everything is perfect in this regard, and we can then disconnect our ground power unit. Right, so while the APU is running, we can in fact start the packs, so we can get the stuffiness out of the cabin and let the passengers that are currently boarding just breathe a little bit of fresh air there. Our next step is going to be to program the MCDU. Now the first thing to do is to check the active nav database. I've just realized this morning that it was time for an update, and I had the presence of mind to quickly run the updater. So now we can see from 3 January until 30 January 2019 is active, and that means that our flight plans and all should now work according to this ARAC. The next section will be the initialization page, and we're going to start by saying where we are flying from and flying to. We can then click on align IRS. Alright, we've got two options now. We can either import a company route, or we can actually just go and build a company route. I think just to keep things simple, let's just import a route. So from the normal FMS output folder, we're going to specify FAGG FACT for Cape Town, and I know the file ends with a 01. We then get confirmation that the flight plan was read okay, and we can simply clear that away. Our flight number today is just my own version. It's not real world related at all. And the cost index is going to be 12, and cruise altitude is 240. Alright, we can put that away a little while longer. Then we go on to page 2. In page 2 we obviously have to specify the 0 fuel weight and the block fuel, and all we do is we just click on the line select keys. Now over here we can see we've got 2.29 tons extra, which gives us an hour and 8 minutes extra airtime if we need to divert somewhere. Our next requirement is to go to the flight plan page. I happen to know that George does not have any standard instrument departure, so we're not even going to worry about that one. And then we're going to go to Cape Town because we need to set up our arrival. Our arrival today is going to be on the ILS 401, and we are going to use the Keaton arrival. There is no via and no transition, and then we simply insert. And to check if this flight plan gives us any hiccups, we're just going to go to plan mode and then step through it. Funny little turn. Okay, I'm going to leave it for now. If it's a problem later, we can change it, but that's really a funny thing. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I shouldn't. It's just bugging me now. Oh, and guys, just as a matter of interest, Navigraph desktop doesn't seem to want to work today. It's just, it seems to be getting a regular thing every time there's like an ARAC update or something. Then the first couple of hours every month there's a bit of hiccup, so it's a bit difficult for me to actually verify everything right now. I'm really flying blind because I don't have that on me right now. Okay, in hindsight, let's just leave it. We'll worry about it later if we need to. So the next step is going to be going to our preferences page. Over here, once we have set up the previous two pages, we can simply click the line select keys, get our V speeds, and then, like I said earlier, if this is not 0, 0, this was an easy one to remember, but if there's a value in there, you obviously have to set it up in the MCDU as well. So for our takeoff, we are already set at 2 and up 0.0. Our flex temperature, I need to quickly double check. I'm going to use flex of 45. This is a rather short runway, and we don't want to come short at the end. Every little meter counts at the end. And believe it or not, that takes care of the MCDU. It's quite simple to use. It's not 100% study level, but it gives you the basics and it helps you to use this as you should. So it's fine. We're done with that now. Alright, so at this point in time we can send the ground services away and we can close our doors. And we initiate the flight by switching our seatbelts on. Something else that I have learned is we can actually open and close the windows. And there's a little trick to it. I'm not going to disclose the trick yet until Andre tells me that it's okay to talk about that. But to close it, we flip that little switch and then we can just pull it back. So the trick is to get the switch that activates this button. Unless you have that switch activated in the aircraft, you will not be able to open the windows. And the clue that Andrei Belov gave us was HA14. If you can figure out what HA14 is, you can open the windows. Good luck in finding that. It took me a better half of an hour to find that switch. I was literally crawling all over this cockpit to try and find it. Even had the flashlight out in all the dark corners. It was fun. A bit of a quest. So we need to configure the beta pushback, and we do that through the menu.
Ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
In this aircraft, this speaker, it's called loudspeaker. If you set the volume there, you can actually set the volume of beta pushback. So that's a nice tip if you guys can remember that. If you leave it at max, obviously it's at that normal, very loud sound. So I'll just bring it down to about the middle. And as you heard, it's much more pleasant. So that's a very well thought out feature in this aircraft. Alright, so all doors and windows are closed, and we can then call the beta pushback when we are ready. I'm just thinking here, while we are here and while we have the facility, we might as well actually use the AVI tab in this aircraft. Obviously not looking the same as when we are in the Zebo, but it gives us all the same things via our normal plugin folder. So let's actually Let's just see how this works in here. Oh yeah, okay. Let's actually get our chart in here. That'll help us with the taxi, I'm sure. Alright, our takeoff runway is going to be runway 11, and we're obviously just going to use the single taxiway to get there. So let us just put this slightly out of the way. And before we get going, I just noticed that I never set our cruising altitude. Right, flight level 240 is set. Doesn't look as if we can actually make this little window smaller, so just go out of the way. Let's double check everything and then call our pushback. I just noticed that the clouds were moving. Somebody was asking the other day, do the clouds move? I can actually see them moving. That's very interesting. That's nice.
Ground to cockpit, tow is driving up.
So while he's driving up, let's quickly run our before start.
Before start checklist. Cockpit preparation. It is not okay, sir. It is not completed.
Okay, then we need to figure out what is not done. Hence the requirement for a checklist, guys. I'm wondering. Not sure if it would just be the beacon light, so let's quickly run through a couple of other things.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
Before start checklist. Cockpit preparation. It is not okay, sir. It is not completed.
Okay, well, it would be nice if you gave us a hint. I'm just reading through the little bit of the checklist that I already have. I'll be with you now.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Before start checklist. Cockpit preparation. It is not okay, sir. It is not completed. Before start checklist. Cockpit preparation. It is not okay, sir. It is not completed.
Oh, Matho, now I'm not sure what switch to switch on and off. I'm just going to try one or two more. Let's see. If there was any hints that the poor guy gave us, it would have been better. But I mean, it can literally now be anything, and I'm not sure what. So I'm just quickly reading through.
Cockpit preparation completed. Gear pins and covers
Okay,
removed.
look how silly
Signs
that was.
on.
Radios were
Naviers,
not on.
Nav mode. Fuel quantity in kilo 048.
Yeah, it was the radios,
Takeoff
mate.
data
Sorry.
set.
Silly.
Aero
That's a
reference
silly
set.
mistake.
Windows, doors,
I switched the radio
closed.
on
Beacon
the
on.
overhead, and then I
Throttle
didn't
levers,
check the ones
idle.
at the bottom.
Parking brake on. Checklist completed.
Alright, now the guy is happy, so we can go. Before we go, we need to make sure that our ignition is switched on. Alright.
Park brake off.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, then another thing I've learned with the Airbus is you do not have to wait for
Starting engine
25% on N1. We can just flick the switch. And we just learned how to resize this map.
Starting engine 2.
And there we go, engine 2.
Operation complete. Set parking brake.
Park brake on.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
So after the engines are running and they're stable, we can then switch this little ignition knob to normal, and then we can look at maximum brake. So by following this list, we're going to configure the aircraft to be ready for takeoff. So we now have maximum brake. We need to arm the spoilers.
Spoilers arm. Flaps 1. Flaps 2.
Flaps need to go to 2.
Tow is
And that's
disconnected
it.
and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal will be on the left. We'll see you next time. Have a safe flight.
Right, then we can run the after start checklist.
After start checklist. Anti-ice as required. ECAM status checked. Pitch trim 0 decimal 0 down. Rudder trim 0. APU set on. Ground crew clear. Anti-skid and nose wheel steering on. Checklist completed.
Excellent.
Flight control check. Full up. Check. Full down. Check. Neutral. Check. Full left. Check. Full right. Check. Neutral. Check. Press pedals disconnect push button. Check. Pedal full left. Check. Pedal full right. Check. Neutral. Check. Press pedals disconnect push button. Check. Checklist completed.
Alright, now if you follow this next checklist, it's actually in 2 parts if memory serves me correct. So we're going to press it once,
Before takeoff checklist. Flight controls, checked. Flight instruments, checked. Briefing, confirmed. Flap settings config. Flaps 2, V1, 1, 3, 5. V rotate, 1, 4, 0. V2, 1, 5, 3. Flex temperature, 4, 5. ATC, set. ECAM memo, no blue. Checklist down to the line, completed. If you're ready to continue below the line, click it again.
Alright, at this point in time, we are then just going to taxi to the runway, and where we do our runway entry procedure, we're going to run the rest of this checklist.
Park brake off.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard. And we'd like your attention for just a few moments as we go over important safety features of this Airbus A320 aircraft. Please follow along with the safety information card in the seatbelt packet in front of you. To fasten your seatbelt, insert the metal tab into the buckle. To tighten, pull the loose end of the strap, and to release, lift up on the flat portion of the buckle. Your seatbelt should be secure low and tight around your hips and worn anytime while seated. There are 8 emergency exits, 2 forward exit doors, 4 wing window exits, and 2 rear exit doors. Signs overhead and aisle fan lighting link to all exits. All exits are equipped with communication signs in plate automatically. Look around to locate the exit nearest you, keeping in mind the closest visible exit may be behind you. If needed, oxygen mask will drop from the compartment above your seat. Pull the mask towards your face, place it over your nose and mouth, and breathe normally. Secure the mask with the elastic strap. Although oxygen will be flowing, the plastic bag may not appear to inflate. A crew member will inform you when it's safe for you to remove your mask, and please be sure to secure your own mask before assisting others. Also, please have your credit card ready should the oxygen run out. After all, this is Spirit Airlines. A life vest is located under each passenger seat. Life vest can be used for adults or children. To use it, pull apart the plastic pouch, remove the vest, and slip it over your head. Wrap the strap around your waist, fasten the buckle, and pull the tab on the loose end of the strap to tighten. Upon exiting the aircraft, pull down on the red tab to inflate the vest. It is important that you do not inflate the life vest while you're inside the aircraft. To manually inflate or top off the vest, blow to the tube at shoulder level. A water-activated rescue light is attached to each vest, and infant life vest will be provided by your crew should it be necessary. There are 2 life rafts at the forward doors and 2 at the rear doors on either side of the airplane. There's also an additional life raft located in the rear of the aircraft. Evacuation signs at the moving exits are not life rafts and will not provide flotation. Your safety information card shows raft locations and the proper use of all water equipment. Federal law requires passenger compliance with lighted passenger information signs, posted placards, and most
Right, so in the little bit of confusion we had there, one of the things that I did not do, which I might as well do now, is to switch the packs back on. As you can see, the APU is still running, and there's a reason for it. We're going to switch it off just now. If your packs is on, then the APU needs to be running for the takeoff. If the APU is off, then you need to have the packs off for the takeoff as well. So that's another little quirky trick that I learned that I'm not used to.
If you have any questions, notify a flight attendant. Our estimated flight time today is 1 hour and 57 minutes. Thanks for your attention and welcome.
So let me just quickly repeat that. If packs are on during the takeoff, you need to have the APU bleed on. To have the APU bleed on, the APU needs to be running. So if we want to switch the APU off now, we also need to switch the packs off. Otherwise, we're going to have a failure on our checklist again. That was something that I also picked up. And now we can switch the weather radar on for what that is worth. And currently you can't have both weather and terrain radar on, so what we'll do is we'll switch terrain radar on as well. But the terrain radar is effectively overriding the weather. Now, I mean, that's perfect weather out there. There's no thunderstorms and nonsense that I can see. So because we are going to turn in the direction of the mountains or over to the sea. Let's maybe turn over the sea for a change, not make life difficult for us. I think the procedure anyway says we need to turn over the sea, because those mountains are dangerous. People have died flying into them and you don't want to go there. So we'll keep the terrain radar on, and once we switch that off in the climb, the weather radar will automatically come back on the screen. Our timers are all on, and let's run that checklist.
Cabin crew advised. Engine mode selector set normal as where required. Packs set off. Course of APU bleed. Checklist below the line completed.
And we did not have a problem there. So the next one will be after takeoff. So let's get going.
Approaching 1-1. On runway 11.
Power set. Positive climb. Gear up.
This runway is short, guys. I noticed we were running out of space there pretty quickly. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to continue a little while longer, then I'm going to turn around so that we can intercept Golf Romeo Victor VOR at the airport, so then we'll get on track again. As you can see, the weather makes this aircraft quite lively. I love the movement that we have. It's not driving on rails, it's very good. And you really have to fly this aircraft. It's not a question of just letting go. Alright, so now ground spoilers can
disarmed.
be disarmed.
Speed check. Flaps 1.
It's actually very nice to fly this aircraft by hand. It really flies super by hand.
Speed check. Flaps 0.
And boy, if you lift a flap before you're in the correct position, this FO moans at you. Eh? So it's a nice audible cue that you get. It's not okay, sir.
Autopilot 1, cross-check. Standard Barrow cross-check. Passing flight level 075.
Alright, our transition altitude is 7,500, so I've just done the honors there. I've put us on the autopilot as we were on the intercept heading there, turning from Golf Romeo Victor on course now, and climbing flight level 240, and I love my clouds, I really love them. Right, the weather radar is now active, and we just set the tilt to wherever we need them to be. I don't foresee any problems, so it's good, it's good. At 10,000 feet we can obviously get rid of those lights and then relax again a little bit. We all obviously need to get our packs going. I'm glad I remembered them while watching this screen now. It's not like flying the Boeing, I can tell you one thing. This has been a bit of a learning curve, and there's the flight sim way of doing things, and then there's the better checklist way of doing things, and I'm really going to spend a bit of time on this checklist. I've already included a few things I missed earlier and making notes as I go on, and hopefully this will help a couple of you guys to, when you fly this aircraft, that you could just follow an easy to follow list. It would have been nice to just have a little holder and flick it in there, but it's also nice that we can use this tablet in other aircraft. It doesn't have all the functionality in each aircraft, but the basics are there, and it's kind of nice.
gentlemen, this is the captain speaking. The seatbelt signs have been put on as we're just going through some bumpy air at the moment. If you could please return to your seats now and fasten your seatbelt securely and remain seated until the signs have been switched on.
This is such a short flight. This woman is hardly going to be done with her speech when I have to listen to ATIS and get ready for the descent again. And there I've gone and pulled the button. Damn it. That's another thing if you guys don't know. If you pull the button, you have control. If you push the button, you give the flight management system the control. So the aircraft effectively has control when you push. Good morning, Felix. Yeah, we're okay. I make silly mistakes, but it's all on me, so I just fix them. Listen, your voice is a bit soft. Yeah, it's much better, but you can do it much more.
Foxtrot, Alpha, Charlie, Tango, airport information, Kilo 0800, Zulu, weather, wind 025, at 4, visibility 10,000, sky clear, temperature 26, dew point 10, QNH 1014, advise on initial contact, you have information, Kilo Foxtrot, Alpha, Charlie, Tango, airport information, Kilo 0800, Zulu, weather, wind 025, at 4, visibility 10,000, sky clear, temperature 26, dew point 10, QNH 1014, advise.
Alright, so that takes care of our approach page in the MCDU, and we can activate approach later when we need to. Felix. Alright, sorry about that. I just had to quickly do a couple of things. Just check the little bit of checklist that I have. 1 second. Right, so we're just waiting for the 10 nautical mile mark, and then we will activate the top of descent. Alright, so how have you been, Felix? Shame. Oh, so I'm sorry to hear that. Is he okay now? Good. Good, good, good. Yeah, it's not nice when kids get sick. I've got 2 of my own. I tell you, it's not a good feeling when you're a parent and the kids get sick. Okay.
We are close to top of descent, sir.
Yeah, this is my second last official holiday day. Tomorrow will be the last one, and Monday I'm back to the grinder. Oh yeah. Let's quickly find out. Let's actually browse there quickly and have a look. According to the forum, they are still on 3.31 on the zip file. I'm not sure if... Well, let's download it. Let's download it and open it up and have a look. See, I'm not sure if they might have put it somewhere else, but where I'm looking at, I'm still on 3.31. I don't see any 3.32, to be quite honest. It still says revision 1 according to the forum. Yeah. I'm definitely also going to investigate further now that you've mentioned it. No worries, no worries. I'm also on
Spoilers armed.
explain 11.30 revision to the release candidate 2. Okay.
Spoilers half.
No worries. Matho, on the Zebo we are on beta 14 already, 3.32 beta 14.
Spoilers retracted.
Felix, no. If you go into the JAR A320 folder in Explain in Aircraft, there is a little text file that is called plate.txt. All you do is you just change the lettering in there, and then once you restart the sim and reload the aircraft, it will read that instead of the original JAR text. Yeah, absolutely. So It's now registered in the wife's name, and her name is Renee. You can't spell that with the SEL code, so I did the best I could there, but anyway, that's for my wife. I've got the Zebo. I've got Nico on the Zebo. I don't think it's got much value for her. The simulator to her is the other woman. You know, she hates the simulator some days, so it's the other woman. But I just thought, you know what, it just makes a nice pair. Just a quick thing between us now. One of the reasons that I didn't use this built-in checklist, because of all the gaps that it's got, that's one reason, is I got so confused yesterday. It took me such a long time to figure out what I've done, what I haven't done. You know, some of these checklists being divided into 2 sections. Man, it messed my mind around, and I'm still taking notes, and it's going to take me probably 1 or 2 more flights to just, you know, get this checklist going. But if you want to use a checklist and not just get in and go, you know, you've got to be careful when you do what. Otherwise, this aircraft, it's stubborn. It's not. It's like earlier, I forgot the radios on. I'm not sure if you off. I forgot them off. Not sure if you saw that. And this guy kept on telling me I'm not configured. You know, it's not okay. And it doesn't give you hints. It doesn't tell you what's wrong. Now I've got to go and figure out. So the checklist all of a sudden became more important to me than it was ever before. Yeah, and it was. I mean, I switched on the beacon, which I was supposed to do anyway, and I went through everything, and I all of a sudden just realized, oops, radios. Yeah. Hence the importance for 2 guys in the cockpit. You know, I think a lot of guys don't appreciate what us flight simmers go through. Even the flight simmers themselves don't always understand the pressure they put on themselves, on ourselves, because we're doing a 2-man job here, and it's so easy to make a silly mistake or forget something or misread, like the taxi lights, right? I mean, I was already taxiing, and then I remembered, oh, I still had to put on the taxi lights, and then I go back to my scribbles. I never had the taxi light in the checklist. Yeah, and not just 2 people. We're talking highly skilled, very well trained people. You know, they operate on a totally different level than what I do. I mean, in Boeing, I'm very proficient. I've got lots and lots and lots of time on that thing. But Airbus, to me, this has been a bit of cold water in the face now in the last couple of weeks. But I'm loving it. I mean, I spend a lot of time in this thing. And when I'm not in the Zebra, I'm in this aircraft. Yes. Yeah, then it doesn't like it. Good. Good morning, Capitan. How are you? Felix, you're right. It's the small things, just the small things. You know, it's like in IT, one tick in the wrong box and there goes the whole system. Exactly, exactly. One of the interesting things, you and I have discussed this is why I'm mentioning it now. If you do a manual landing, like what I've been doing, you're actually supposed to switch the auto throttle off, the auto throttle button, so that you have control. This built-in checklist actually makes provision for both scenarios where you've got the auto throttle on or off. And that was one of the things that really tickled me yesterday. So I can do two types of landing. I can come in, leave the auto throttle on, and then pull back, 20 or 30 feet. Andrei Belov continuously makes mention that one shouldn't hear the retard message. If you hear that, you've gone too far already. So I've been practicing, to pull back before I hear that. And then there's the other scenario where you actually come in and let's say at a mile or two away you disconnect, and then you hand fly it in, but then you've got to make sure that your auto throttle is definitely off, so that you actually have control over your throttles properly as well, not just in the descent. And it just makes life a little bit interesting, two ways of doing it. So
Spoilers armed.
yeah, my trigger is usually around about 30 feet approximately, and then when I hear 30 I pull back, and then once I hear the engine spool down, because in this model you can hear it nicely spool down, then just lift my nose in that last second or two to just flare, properly. Yeah. Let's see how far we are with this guy.
Briefings confirmed. ECAM status checked. Seatbelts on. Bayro set 2992. Decision height 240. Engine mode selector set normal as wearer required. Auto brake set. Checklist completed.
Ah, he's happy for a change. Hey Fahad, welcome to the stream. I'm good, buddy. How are you? I'm obviously toying with this Airbus again, so happy days. I hope I do it, better in each stream. So we're trying.
2,500.
No worries. No worries. So this is that little funny turn thing it's going to do just now. I just want to see what on earth it's going to do there, because it's slightly off track and then having to come back. We'll see. What I am going to do is I'm just going to hit this approach phase before we get there, so we might slow down a little bit. Excellent, Fahad. Good stuff. Good to hear.
Terrain. Pull up.
Whoop, whoop. Not something you want to hear.
Approach phase activated. We need more drag, sir.
Cool, thank you. That's nice. Cool. Before the whole what do you call it, daylight savings thing kicked in the northern hemisphere, I did exactly the same with the Zebo test pilot, because he would stream most mornings, and that was exactly what happened to me too. You know, we would meet up, have a bit of a talk, and he would do his stream on the Zebo testing the model for the day, and you know, I'll have my tablet or my phone somewhere with me, and that was my radio and TV for the morning. Yeah. Right, so now this thing is going crazy, right, and
Spoilers full.
we need to get some brakes going. Did not like that. Okay, so let's do a direct 2. Might have to just do some vectoring to fix that little problem. Okay, now I'll know for the future. I won't allow the aircraft to do its crazy little stunt over there. Let's see if it actually turns now.
Spoilers armed.
It looks like it's turning back. But not to where we want it to be.
Radio altimeter alive.
Oh, that's sad. I mean, that's a mistake I made. I made a judgment call which was not the right one, so we'll fix it. Yeah, I was hoping that it would get the hint, you know, to turn back, but obviously it didn't. So now I'm doing exactly that, having to use a little bit of self-vectoring to fix this.
Speed checked. Flaps 1.
Listen to this, I'm gonna pull it quickly again.
Speed is not okay for next flaps position.
Oh, this guy can moan.
Speed checked. Flaps 2.
Alright, we'll we'll leave it at that and then go turn over false buy over there. Okay, so if we look at our memos here, we still need to do the flaps and we still need to do the gear down thing. And we'll do that once we've turned over the bay over there. Ooh, I see we've got wind shear warnings here on active sky. It's just after the airport returning, so we shouldn't do a go around right now, but you can see the wind's kind of acting in on this aircraft big time now. I know while I was toying with this checklist yesterday, it kept on complaining and complaining that something was also not right, and then it turned out to be the decision height. The moment we hit the decision height, it stopped and it went through, so it will be interesting to see how it handles that now as well. It is so different to the Boeing. I tell you what, it is actually frustrating sometimes, because it's a total mindset change that you have to go through. Just want to get some space and then turn around. Don't want to do things too shallow, end up with another man-made problem. Alright, auto brake is anyway, it's on. QNH is set, waiting for gears as well. I hate it when I miss that click and turn spot, and this whole mouse scroll wheel makes me jump ahead. Alright, LS is now active, so we have got the localizer there identified, not moving yet. More and more. Let's get the approach button on.
Speed checked. Flaps 3.
Hey, this wind is really moving. Right, there's the localizer and there's the runway. I hope the wind is a bit better when we get to the lower level, because yeah, it's not nice. I mean, this is going to be a trick to land again if it stays like this.
Gear down.
One thing that I was thinking about, I went through quite a few different guys flying Airbus on YouTube to try and see how they do things. I never pick up that the weather has any influence on their system. So I'm sitting wondering, do these guys, or the other YouTubers, do they actually use real world weather or some weather engine? Because it's curious, you never see their aircraft do any of what mine is doing, and I mean mine is flying with active sky, so it's real. There's going to be a wind movement, and now I look at some of these other guys and I go, no wonder you guys land so pretty on your streams, because it's not there. I don't feel it, I don't see it.
Flaps full.
So I'm wondering about that.
Landing checklist. Cabin crew advised. Auto throttle mode. Speed. ECAM memo. No blue. 1000. Go around altitude. It is not okay, sir. It is not set. Go around altitude. Set. Checklist completed.
Approaching 01.
Yeah.
500.
Well, the wind shear warning is moving towards me now on the map. It's not good.
400.
Land green checked.
Okay,
300.
let's see.
$200.
100 above.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Ground spoilers. Disarm. Reverse green.
Man, you can feel this wind. Thank you.
70 knots. Reverse green.
Wow. Okay, that was actually very nice. See, all that practice helps, eh? Oh yeah.
On runway 34.
Yeah, I'm just too stubborn to give up, or too dumb. I don't know. You choose. But no, when something bugs me, I ride it out until I win it. Right, so let's quickly stop here.
Flaps 1. Flaps 0.
Felix.
Yes.
Okay, nobody on the stream actually mentioned this, but nobody could hear you. I've just activated your sound on the stream. I don't know why you were muted, so everybody's now hearing half a conversation. Guys, I apologize for that. I didn't realize he was not on stream with us. Sorry, Felix.
No problem.
Spoilers half. Spoilers retracted. After landing checklist. Flaps retracted. Spoilers.
Runway
Disarm.
34.
APU. It is not okay, sir. It is not. Start. APU. Start. Radar. Off. Strobe lights. Off. Checklist completed.
Welcome to Cape Town, everybody. Apart from the wind, which is just a normal natural occurrence in Cape Town, it looks to be sunny and looks like we can go have a nice swim in the ocean now. Yeah, Matho, it's a joke up to a point, and it gets irritating. Then you've got to either listen or just take it on the chin, eh? I mean, he's going to moan until you get it right. True. Skiri Wasim, welcome from the other side of Africa, my friend. Welcome to this stream. I hope you enjoy it here with us. But I'm going to put on this parking brake. There is no VA to worry about on a virtual airline side, so
Park brake on.
we're just going to quickly do a bit of a replay.
Flaps full. Speed checked. Flaps full.
500. 400. 300.
Guys, just as a reminder, Andrei Belov told us that they are busy working with Laminar Research on getting the control surfaces and things like our spoilers here to operate in a replay mode. It's a work in progress, so you won't see it now.
30. 20.
And there we have Table Mountain in the background. Oh, it looks nice. I did a little GA flight here the other night at about sunset. you must check that. I actually must make a video in a little GA aircraft flying around this place at night. You know, going into sunset, watching the lights come up. It is breathtaking. I tell you what, yeah. Now I've just inspired myself. Maybe I must do that this evening. That was super cool.
Flaps 1. Flaps 0.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind
Flaps
shear.
full.
Ooh, you're a bit late, but we get the message. Thank you. It's right on top of us now, obviously.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
Yeah, yeah.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
Just want to see what this angle looks like. I love this. I do it in all my videos. I love standing around about the touchdown zone.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
400. 300.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
200.
Look at that grabbing.
100.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
30. 20.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
Speed, speed, speed.
200.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind shear.
Oh, I need one more of that one.
Wind shear,
Flaps
wind shear,
0.
wind shear.
Speed checked. Flaps 3. Flaps full.
Wind shear, wind shear,
400.
wind shear.
300.
Wind shear, wind shear,
200.
wind shear.
100. 50. 40.
Wind shear,
30.
wind shear, wind shear.
20.
Felix, yes, if I go back to the gate now, this aircraft is broken. It's part of the relay issue that they are working on. So thanks for that tip. I'll shut down next time and give it a try, because I think that might be the key that I did not do and did not know of.
Flaps 0.
Yeah, that'll definitely work, Nico, if you shut everything down.
Flaps full.
Toggle on, have a look at your replay.
Wind shear.
Then when you close down the replay, you'll probably hear the engines are spooled up, but because everything is shut down, they'll just automatically spool back down again. So it should be okay.
Okay, alright, yeah, because that's been a bit of a pain in the butt, you know, having to close explain
Speed,
afterwards.
Speed,
300.
speed.
Just want to take a couple of screenshots.
Wind shear, wind shear, wind
200.
shear.
100. 50. 40.
Wind shear,
30.
wind shear, wind shear.
20.
Amazing.
Wind shear, wind shear.
The circuits have
Caution.
been good for you, definitely.
Oh, yeah, now look at that. Now I've got the crash to explain. Well, the airplane crashed in explain.
Wind shear, wind
Oops.
shear.
You gone in for some duty free?
It looks like it. Looks like it. Let me just kill it.
Yeah, so that's what to do. That will stop that, Nico, the next time.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for that tip. Something new I learned. It was a learning exercise to do, or to show you guys what I've learned, and now I've learned something as well. So it's a learning video. Oh, come now, it's enough. Right, so explain is dead. Let me just thank everybody here. There was a new subscriber. Guys, I hope you learned something as well. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll keep you updated on this JarDesign. But now I'm back to the Zebo. I need to get some medication, Zebo medication again. Thank you guys. See you guys soon. And if you've got any comments or suggestions, leave them and speak with me. My email address also is in the About section, but you can contact me on Facebook. I've got the Schematics Facebook page as well. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.